guys and girls, welcome back to another video. Today we're checking out the Torpedo Captor X. Let's go! So welcome back. Today we're checking out this cool attenuator with a lot of built-in functions. So in a previous video I tried the Torpedo Captor, which is this one right here, which doesn't have all the functions that the Torpedo Captor X has, but they do the same thing. So basically they allow you to record your amp silently, use your amp at a lower volume. So let's check out the specs. So on the front panel we can see the out level for the headphones, the voicing and the space. We have 6 presets we can save inside the Captor, a switch to change between high and low level, depends on the volume of your amplifier, a phones out. On the back we have the 2 XLR outs with a ground lift. They allow you to record in stereo or in dual mono. You have the speaker in, so where you connect your amplifier, the speaker out, where you go to the cab if you want to use one, and there is a switch that allows you to select the full power, so no attenuation, halfway, which is basically the same attenuation that the Torpedo Captor can provide, so minus 20 dB, and the low, which is minus 38, which is intended for home use. And later I will tell you how much I love the fact that this is the perfect volume for me, but there's also a USB connection to connect to the software, update and everything. And there's a power, of course. This one has a power brick because it needs to be powered for all the functions. The Torpedo Captor, on the other side, you can use it without any power amplification, unless you want to use the built-in speaker simulator, and in that case you can either power it with a Phantom or with a 9 to 24 volt adapter. This one needs its own adapter, so as far as if you plan on using it live, you have to carry one more power plug with you. But it's not all negative, it's mostly positive, because this thing is a powerhouse. It can do a lot of stuff, but let's go straight to the demo and then I'll tell you what I think. So here we have the Torpedo hooked up to the audio interface. Right now I'm not monitoring through the cabinet of the amp. I'm just monitoring to my studio monitors. You can also use headphones straight out of the Torpedo X, which is very cool. I also have the Torpedo app on my phone to show you what I will do. Of course there is also the software from the computer, but I think it's much more intuitive to use with your phone. It's Bluetooth connected, you connect it once, and then every time the Torpedo is on, you launch the app, they connect automatically, which is very, very nice. Also, if you plan on using on a live situation, it's very, very cool. So, let's check out all the things. So here, for example, you have the presets. I have the first preset selected. The space handles both the reverb or the twin tracking amount of separation between the two tracks of the twin tracker. It depends on the preset. If you have the twin tracker on, I think it defaults to handling the twin tracker. If you don't have the twin tracker on, the space will always default to the reverb. Let's check out from here what it's doing. As you can see, it's not doing. Let's change the view. And it's probably handling the amount of reverb. Yes, you can see it's changing the width of the reverb. If I go to another preset that has the twin tracker, for example the 4th one, I think it's going to affect, yes, the tightness, as you can see. Let's check out some of the presets. These are the stock ones, which I think sounds very cool. This one is intended for be using with a kind of a more aggressive high-end, high-gain tone. Doesn't mean it sounds bad with cleans. As you can see, you can change the position of the mics, you can change everything. It's very, very intuitive to use. As you can see, we can, while I play, I can change the position of one of the mics. Mute, you only have the other one. I can do the same with the other. And I can of course alter everything. So for example here the EQ is basically active, but it's not doing much. The enhancer is interesting. Sometimes it can add something to the overall sound. Let's see what the enhancer does. As you can see, it adds something to it, a little bit more body, a little bit more brilliance. It depends on how you set it. Body basically is mid-range, thickness is the kind of low end, rumble and the thump, especially with distortion. I think it's really, really evident. Let's check it out. There is also a very cool function, which is the gate, which can learn how you play. For example, let's turn it on. You can decide if it's soft or hard, or you can use the learn function. And now it's set it up. And you can see it works like a charm. Very, very cool. Let's check out some of the other presets. Of course, you can decide to go out from in stereo. You can go out in dual mono, and for example, bypass one of the. For example, you can decide to apply the IR included in the Torpedo to just one of the signals, and the other one you can apply yourself. In my scenario, I prefer to use both stereo out from the Torpedo so that I have a great sound, and I am still recording from the line out of the amp, so whenever I want to change the IR or the sound, I have that basically blank canvas to do everything that I want if I don't like what I recorded with the Torpedo. There is also the voicing, which changes a bit of the behavior. Of course, all these settings work only from the XLR out and the headphones. They don't affect how the guitar cabinet sound in the room. Let's change the voicing. More scoop mids. So now let's check out the other presets that are pre-built. Of course, you can edit them and change them, but I kept them because I think they have a place, especially in my playing. I also created one preset for the sound that I want. But for example, this one is much more suited to the cleans. I think it's really, really cool. Let's check it out. I really like it. I think it can be too much. I wouldn't use it for high distorted stuff. Maybe for solos could be cool. This one, I think it's much more versatile. There's still a ton of reverb, but it really is a bit less boomy in the bass. Here we have the twin tracker. Let's hear how it opens up. Now it's turned off. Now it's turned on. As you can see, you can change the tightness of the twin tracker. So this is the tightest. This is also a twin tracker, but it's a little bit more tight, a little bit less room, as you can hear. So it leaves a little bit more space, and I think it's more suited for distortion. This is my preset. I created a preset with my favorite AR, which is the one that I always use in all the videos that you hear, which is the York Audio 4x12 M25. I think it sounds great. It's a vintage SM57 blended with a 421 Sennheiser, I think. And yeah, it's a great IR, and this is a stereo version of it. I have the twin tracker on, a little bit of studio ambience, and I mean... yeah, I think it sounds very cool. Of course, you can change, you can disable the twin tracker, for example, and I can select other IRs if I want to. I have saved a couple of ones. So, for example, let's mute this one. Here we have only one IR. And I can toggle between them. Let's go with this one. And of course I can blend two different IRs. For example, here I have the M25 with the 5153, which is based on a 5150 cabinet from 2009, I think. And you can audition them and change them as you play, which is very useful to do. There are a ton of other presets, of course. For example, here I have a ton of them, as you can see. Also, this one I created, it's very, very cool, which is with the Jubilee cab. And for example, let's go from here. You can change the microphones. For example, I can make a ribbon mic. Let's see. Just this one. For example, you can go to a 57, which I think is a really good blend. Or a 421. Let's hear the reverbs. Here are all the types of reverb that you have. It's 2 studios, basement, loft, all hay. And of course you can change the parameters of each one. You have a toggle between room and ambience. As you can see, it adds a little bit of and tail. Let's see if the weight opens it up. As you can see, the changing the width changes the space knob. So let's check out some of the included cabs. There are too many. I can't show you all of them. This video will be too long. It's already pretty long. So this is the So I wanted to know if changing the attenuation volume, even without the speaker connected, would affect the sound. Let's check it out. There's a little bit of difference. I think in the high end and in the low end, as you can see from the graph that I have here, is basically a little bit of high end and a little bit of low end that changes between the attenuation and the no attenuation setting, which is something that I noticed because I was comparing this to the old Torpedo, which by default only has -20, and even without the cab connected, I noticed a little bit of difference. Very subtle. It's nothing that you will know in a mix unless you have a direct comparison, but it's something that is worth pointing out. So it's a pretty powerful thing, isn't it? I lied to you on the previous video when I told that I was going to keep the Torpedo Captor, and I'm not, just because I think that this one is a lot more powerful and can do a lot more for me. Especially the stereo recording is something that I always wanted, and I thought about it for a while, but I couldn't do it with other ways, just as I wanted to do it. But this way allows me to have a stereo sound with the double tracker, to record for you guys all the guitars and the pedals that I try, and to have the best sound possible from the amp. I always record the line out of the amp, so whenever I'm recording this, I also have a backup track, which is it's a lifesaver for me, especially when I'm recording for songs and stuff like that. Maybe I get something wrong in here and I can't undo it because it's baked into the track, and I have the safe track, let's say. But yeah, it's a very powerful thing, and what I liked about the Harley Benton is the fact that I had a more granular volume control, so I can raise it, I can lower it, and keep it just where I want it, especially in a house which is in an apartment, so I have neighbors, I don't have to scare them and I don't want them to call the cops. The low level for me is literally perfect. It's the same volume that I used to keep the Harley Benton. It allows me to have the amp at 6.5 for the master, which is where I think this amp really shines. With the Torpedo Captor, I can only keep the amp to 4.5, and in that way the cleans didn't sound as rich, and also I couldn't use boost pedals because they will literally raise the volume, while when the amp is more than 5 to 6. Applying boost doesn't really give you a volume boost, it more give you a gain boost, which is what I want from boost pedal. I don't want to raise the volume. So yeah, this is literally the perfect attenuator for me, and I don't know why I waited for so long to try one. And yeah, it's great. And if you're searching for something like this, it's great, man. If you don't like the reverbs inside it, which I think are pretty good, you can always just don't use them. I think it's really great. I have nothing bad to say about it, other than the fact that I would love it to be a little bit cheaper for you guys. But comparing to the other attenuators out there that can do stuff like this is actually one of the less expensive ones, so that's also a bonus. So this is it for today. Let me know in the comments what you think. Subscribe if you want to support me, follow me on Instagram, and I'll catch you in the next one. See ya!